If 95% of what I'm about to tell you in this video is true, but you didn't know which 5% was wrong, could you really trust any of it at all? Deloitte recently published a report filled with AI errors. They didn't catch them. Their client, the Australian government, didn't catch them either. In fact, it took an expert in a very niche field to see the absurdity of some of the claims made. Seeing this news sparked a very eerie thought in me. Who else is lying to us without knowing? Can we still trust what we see from our so-called verified sources? Have you been paying attention lately? ChatGPT, I need an easy chicken pasta recipe. I've got lemon, tomato, onion, and eggs. Please explain to me how quantum computing works. How do I get more views on my videos about AI? Please subscribe and like the video, please. For many of us, language models are becoming our new search engines. We've gone from Google it to ChatGPT it. A cultural shift is happening right now. And if this isn't you yet, it will be. However, we also know that language models make mistakes. And maybe that doesn't really matter for my easy chicken pasta recipe, but what if you were writing a research paper on climate change or cellular biology or, gosh, I don't know, advising the Australian government on economic welfare policy? Deloitte. Here's the thing, you're not just using AI, everyone is using AI. The person writing your news, the consultant advising your government, the researcher you're citing in your thesis. We assume information from trusted sources has been verified, fact-checked. But what if it hasn't been? Deloitte is a global accounting firm. When they publish, governments make policy. People cite them as gospel. They're not just some random blog writer, they are a trusted authority. And the report I mentioned, it wasn't full of AI typos. There were fabricated facts and citations that made it through multiple review layers by, arguably, qualified professionals. Now, if the very people that wrote the report didn't catch the errors, how are we expected to discern truth from AI hallucination? Okay, in my mission to raise awareness for AI safety, I think it's important for us to understand on some level what is actually going on under the LLM hood. So why do language models hallucinate? Well, starting off with the basics, we need to understand that it doesn't understand anything. But Arturo, it passed the bar exam and it helps me run my business. It knows why I'm sad. It understands me. Well, that's exactly it. It simply doesn't understand like we understand. It can only predict. It predicts the next most likely word based only on the data that it's been trained on. Almost exactly like your phone's autofill function. It relies entirely on probabilistic mathematical calculations to derive the next letter or token as they're known. It's really, in a way, just a really complex calculator. Kinda weird, right? ChatGPT, what was the name of the first cat president that came to power in 1932 after the Great Feline Wars?
Australia has a parliamentary democracy under the monarchy. There are no presidents, only prime ministers.
Okay, fair. So what was the name of the first cat prime minister?
Sir Fluffy McFluff, who ruled with an iron paw until 1941 when John Curtin took power.
The model's base assumption is that you understand what you're prompting. So it simply just fills in the pattern. The sky is probably blue. There are most likely 8 planets in our solar system. The first Australian cat prime minister was probably Sir Fluffy McFluff. You get the point. It was designed for completion, not comprehension. It's a large language predictive model. The hallucinations, or lies as we call them, aren't errors in the code, they're its features. It was a model designed from the beginning to be optimized for telling us probabilities, not the truth. Now, I do want to make something clear. Most things the models predict are actually accurate, and recently they're getting significantly better, accurately predicting more, hallucinating less. But the underlying mechanism hasn't changed, and in fact, it never will change. And so whilst prediction accuracy will continue to improve, we'll never reach 100% truths. Only the illusion of intelligence will grow, while subtle AI misinformation will go undetected. And that would probably be fine if we were just talking about cat politicians because, well, it's easy to know that there was no Great Feline Wars of 1932. Although there was a Great Emu War of 1932, which we lost. But the real problem is that the more accurate the models become, the less we question them, which sparks a second eerie thought in my head, which is what happens when AI misinformation starts to compound? Picture this. In a few years, a university researcher cites the Deloitte report in their thesis on Australian welfare policy. Sometime after, someone else makes a YouTube video on welfare economics, citing now 2 trusted sources. Someone else then asks an LLM to explain welfare economics, ensuring all information is cited and not just predicted. You see where I'm going with this? The false information has now been verified by dozens of sources, all pointing to each other. I hope you enjoyed the animation. Essentially what I want to show is the compounding effect of what is called AI slop. It will form a feedback loop of self-referential misinformation. As AI-driven research becomes the norm, the origin of truth will fade. Thousands of papers will point to each other, forming a perfect network of unverified false authority. There's a crisis of trust on the horizon. If everything we read seems true, well, who's to say that it isn't? How much of what I've told you in this video is true? How do you know that I didn't just ask ChatGPT to write the whole script for me? What if 99% of it was true and only 1% was wrong? Could you really trust any of it at all? I don't just want to be all doom and gloom towards this situation. I, of all people, absolutely fanboy over AI. I think AI-driven research is going to help us make huge leaps across many of our technologies. We're going to cure cancer and end poverty, solve climate change. But must we forego truth for the greater good of humanity? Perhaps not, but it's going to require effort from all of us. We can start by asking the models not to lie to us. Now, I've written something in the description of this video that you can copy and paste into your language model. It'll get you some of the way to try and reduce some of the hallucinations and the lies and only give you facts. That's all fine. But the real responsibility lies with us. We have to check the sources, check the citations, click through the articles. Let's not let our brains go soft. Ask yourself, does this make sense? Can I verify another way? Is it logical at all, the things that are being said? I started researching this topic thinking the problem was AI misinformation, but I actually think the problem might be something else entirely. I think it's the decay of human critical thinking. Maybe a good topic for another video. In the meantime, keep paying attention.